They call it freedom. But tell me, how free do you really feel? You wake up to an alarm you didn't set. You go to a job you don't own. You trade your time, your life, for a number in a bank account controlled by someone else. They gave you a title, a paycheck, a rented space to live in, and called it a reward. But it's not freedom. It's a cage, a comfortable one, padded with convenience, lined with dopamine hits and distractions. But make no mistake, it's still a cage. You are not free. You are leased. Leased by a system that figured out how to make slavery look like choice. They don't need chains anymore. They give you just enough to stay obedient, just enough to keep you too tired to rebel, just enough to make you afraid of losing the scraps you're fed. And the moment you dare to dream of more, they tighten the leash, raise the rent, inflate the dollar, drown you in debt, raise the cost of everything but your labor. Why? Because the system doesn't reward labor. It rewards ownership. Because ownership is power. Labor is dependence. And if you're dependent, you're controllable, disposable, replaceable, forgettable. You want freedom? Then stop playing by their rules. Stop being a cog in their machine. Stop asking permission to breathe, to rest, to exist. You cannot work your way to freedom in a system built to keep you trapped. You must own your way out. Own your mind. Own your time. Own your skills. Own your assets. Own the means of production. Or be a slave to someone who does. But let me be clear. This path is not easy. It is not for the weak. It is not for the comfortable. It requires extreme discipline. Discipline sharper than any whip they ever used in the past. Discipline to wake up earlier than the herd. Discipline to study while they scroll. Discipline to build while they binge. Discipline to invest instead of indulge. Discipline to sacrifice pleasure for power. They want you soft, distracted, addicted, broke. So you never rise. So you never own. So you never question who really profits off your exhaustion. This system is a prison disguised as paradise. But if you can endure the pain of discipline, if you can sharpen your mind, harden your will, and stop chasing crumbs, you'll see the cracks in the walls. You'll see the path out. And you'll walk it alone. Because most won't. Most can't. Most are too far gone. But you're not most. You feel it, don't you? That fire deep inside you that refuses to die. The fire that whispers, you were not born to be a slave. So stop waiting for someone to save you. No one's coming. You are the only chance you've got. And every second you delay, the system tightens its grip. Rise. Not for applause. Not for comfort. Not even for revenge. But for ownership. For freedom. For legacy. You were not born to survive inside their system. You were born to burn it down and build your own. You've heard the truth. This world is a rigged game, designed to keep you docile, broke, and obedient. And now that the illusion is shattered, the real question stands. What are you going to do about it? Most will nod, then go back to scrolling, but not you. Because if you made it this far, you're ready to act. You're ready to escape. Not just in theory, but in execution. So here it is. 5 brutal steps. Not suggestions, not hacks, but a warpath out of the system's grip. Follow them with unwavering discipline. And you won't just survive the system. You'll outgrow it. Let's begin. Step 1. Break the mental chains. Slavery begins in the mind, and so does freedom. They didn't need shackles. They didn't need fences. They built your prison inside your skull, and they made you love it. The system's most dangerous weapon isn't the government, the media, or even the banks. It's the lie you've swallowed since birth. That this is all life has to offer. That you are small. That you are powerless. That you must obey. That they, not you, decide your worth. Think about it. From the moment you could walk, they trained you to comply. Sit still. Raise your hand. Memorize. Obey. Repeat. They called it education, but it was indoctrination. They didn't teach you to think. They taught you to follow. To be another gear in the machine. Another obedient servant. To fear failure. To crave approval. To wait for permission. This is no accident. This is by design. Because a mind that questions can't be controlled. A soul that believes in its own power cannot be owned. So they had to kill that belief before it had a chance to grow. They trained it out of you with shame, guilt, and fear. But here's the truth they never wanted you to find. You were never meant to be ruled. You were never meant to serve. You were born with dominion over your own life. But to reclaim it, you must first shatter the false self they built inside you. That false self says, stay in line. Don't dream too big. Play it safe. Security is better than risk. Burn it. Burn it all. Every time you hear that voice, recognize it for what it is. The voice of your captor, living rent-free in your mind. And you don't negotiate with captors. You eliminate them. You have to rewire the way you think. This starts by replacing their narrative with your own. You are not a worker. You are not a pawn. You are not your job, your past, or your limitations. You are the architect, the creator, the system breaker. So begin your war by reclaiming the battlefield of your mind. Stop feeding it junk. Stop listening to mediocrity. Unplug from the noise. Read what expands you. Watch what strengthens you. Speak what empowers you. Because here's the brutal truth. As long as they control your mind, they own your life. And they will continue to feed you comfort, distraction, and dependency until you die numb and forgotten. But you don't have to die that way. You can wake up. You can become conscious of the cage. And once you see it, you can break it. So rip out the beliefs that keep you chained. Question everything you've been told. Rebuild your identity from the ashes. Because freedom isn't given. It's taken. And it starts right here, in the war zone behind your eyes. Step 2. Master a high-value skill. If you can't be replaced, you can't be controlled. Here's the cold truth they won't tell you in school. Your time is cheap because you are replaceable. And in this system, if they can replace you, they can control you. They can underpay you. They can overwork you. They can silence you, fire you, discard you, without hesitation. That's why the path to freedom is paved not with degrees, but with value. Not theoretical value. Not fake it till you make it value. Real, ruthless, undeniable value. The kind of skill that makes them need you. The kind that makes you a weapon in any industry. The kind that makes gatekeepers irrelevant. Understand this. Jobs are crutches. Paychecks are pacifiers. But skills are power. And the more rare, relevant, and results-driven your skills are, the more leverage you hold. They taught you to be a generalist, to be good at many things, but master of none. Why? Because specialists break the system. Specialists own the game. So the question is, what are you mastering? Not learning. Mastering. Are you sharpening a skill set that prints value? Or are you still hoping someone will save you? Master sales? Master digital creation? Master copywriting? Coding? Investing? Branding? Automation? Psychology? AI, real estate, systems. Whatever path you take, go deep. Become dangerous. Because the goal isn't to be good enough. The goal is to be unreplaceable. And don't waste your time chasing passion without purpose. Your passion means nothing to the market. Results do. Solve problems. Make people money. Save them time. Change their lives. And they'll pay for that. Because value commands currency. Value breaks chains. And here's the twist. Once you master a skill, you are no longer dependent. You are mobile. You are sovereign. You're not trapped in one place, one role, one boss's opinion. You can pivot, building sell, serve, scale. The system wants compliant workers. But you become a creator, an asset, a force. Because the moment you hold a skill that moves markets, you become a threat to their control, a threat to their hierarchy, a threat to the very chains that once held you. So sharpen your weapon, pick your battlefield, and rise from mediocrity into mastery. Because those with high-value skills don't beg for freedom, they command it. Step 3. Build streams of ownership. You don't escape the system by earning more. You escape by owning more. If you're still trading time for money, you're not free. You're just a higher-paid prisoner. The system doesn't reward effort. It rewards ownership. It rewards the landlords, the investors, the creators, the builders, the ones who stepped off the hamster wheel and created their own track. They gave you just enough to survive, so you'd never ask what it would take to thrive. So you'd never realize that the people at the top aren't working harder than you. They just own the game you're sweating in. You want to escape? Then stop playing for coins. Start building capital. Start building assets. Start building something that pays you when you're asleep. This is how the owners keep you down. While you clock in every week, they collect checks from 100 directions. Rental income, royalties, dividends, equity, licensing. They own the software. They own the land. They own the media you consume, the data you give, the platforms you post on. And you're just leasing a life, a car, a house, a job, a future. Nothing is yours. Nothing is secure. That ends now. Ownership begins when you flip your mindset from consumer to creator. Instead of renting everything, build something. Start small, but start now. Build a brand. Launch a product. Buy your first share of stock. Get your first client. Acquire digital real estate. Start stacking assets like your life depends on it. Because it does. Ownership is leverage. It multiplies your time. It works while you rest. It scales while you think. And eventually, it frees you from needing to show up at all. Most people spend their lives working in other people's systems. The few who escape, they build their own. Your job is not to stay busy. Your job is to become a system architect, to design machines that feed you, to control the platforms, not just post on them, to own the supply, not just serve the demand. Because when you own, you move different. You speak different. You stop asking, how much can I make? And start asking, how much can I build? They want you trapped in the rat race. But rats don't build empires. Owners do. So burn the old map. Draw your own blueprint. And own your way out. Because if you don't build something that feeds you, you'll spend your life feeding something that doesn't. Step 4. Eliminate the leash of debt and consumerism. You cannot buy your freedom while you're addicted to chains. This is the trap no one talks about. You're trying to escape the system while dragging its chains behind you. Debt, consumer addiction, status games, endless scrolling through products you don't need. bought with money you don't have, to impress people you don't even like. They've weaponized your desires. They've hijacked your brain. They've made you worship the cage. You think you're treating yourself, but you're feeding your captor. Every swipe of the card, every purchase just because, every lease on a car you can't afford, it all tightens the collar around your neck. You see, consumerism isn't freedom. It's sedation. It keeps you distracted, not empowered. It keeps you running harder, faster, longer. For what? For dopamine? For a lifestyle you can't sustain? For a life that looks rich but feels empty? That's the leash, and it's time to cut it. The real flex is control. Control over your spending. Control over your impulses. Control over your environment. Not the newest phone. Not designer labels. Not monthly payments stacked sky high. But discipline. The ability to say no. No to debt. No to trends. No to anything that weakens your position and strengthens your dependency. The system is brilliant. It doesn't enslave you by force. It gets you to enslave yourself through endless desire. They made you associate freedom with spending. So now, the more you chase freedom, the deeper you dig your own grave. But here's the truth they never sell you. Freedom is frugal. Freedom is minimalist. Freedom is owning your life, not leasing it from a credit card company. Start stripping it all down. Cancel what doesn't serve your future. Sell what doesn't produce value. Stop competing in the status Olympics. Because while everyone else is drowning in liabilities, you'll be quietly stacking power. And don't mistake this for poverty thinking. This is warrior strategy. You're not shrinking your life. You're sharpening it. You're freeing up capital, freeing up focus, freeing up energy to deploy into ownership, not enslavement. So kill the urge to flex. Starve the need to please. Resist the bait. Because when you break free from consumer slavery, you stop buying symbols of freedom and you start living it. Step 5. Adopt ruthless self-discipline. Discipline is the only door out of this prison, and most people will never open it. Here's the final truth most won't accept. Freedom costs everything. It costs comfort. It costs convenience. It costs every excuse you've ever told yourself. And above all, it costs the old you. Because the old you, the one who hits snooze, who binge watches, who spends before investing, who waits for motivation to strike, that version dies in the fire of discipline. And that death is necessary. No one escapes the system soft. No one rises above mediocrity by doing what's easy. Discipline is the tax you pay for transformation. And it is brutal. It's waking up when you're exhausted. It's saying no when the world tempts you with 1,000 yes moments. It's training your mind to obey you, instead of the algorithm, the craving, the weakness. The truth? You will never own your life if you can't even own your mornings. You will never build an empire if you can't even control your hunger. The system banks on your inability to endure discomfort, because every time you choose pleasure over purpose, you reinforce their control. This isn't about motivation. Motivation is weak. It's fleeting. It's a mood. Discipline is different. Discipline is steel. It shows up when you don't feel like it. It doesn't ask for energy. It creates it. It doesn't care how you feel. It acts in spite of feeling. And in a world that rewards obedience, discipline is rebellion. Do you want out of the rat race? Then become a savage in your habits. Track everything. Your time, your energy, your money, your focus. Cut the fluff. Cut the excuses. Cut the distractions. Create a daily routine that scares the old you. Then stick to it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Train. Read. Building invest. Repeat. When others are sleeping, you're sharpening your edge. When others are partying, you're laying bricks. When others are numbing their pain with entertainment, you're weaponizing your suffering into momentum. Discipline makes you dangerous. And once you're dangerous, the system can't contain you. Because you no longer need its approval, its schedule, its rewards, or its lies. You don't rise by luck. You rise by ritual, by sacrifice, by raw, relentless consistency. So build your own code. Live by it. Die by it. Because once you master yourself, no one else can. And when you finally emerge, cut, scarred, sharpened by the grind, you'll look around and realize the gate was never locked. You just had to be strong enough to push it open. Let's rethink everything you've been told. You were taught to follow the rules, to fit in, to stay in line, to get good grades, land a steady job, and wait patiently for your reward at the end of a life spent serving someone else's dream. But that was never freedom. That was programming. That was modern slavery with a smile. And the worst part, they made it comfortable. They gave you weekends off, coffee breaks, and just enough entertainment to keep your soul sedated. But deep down, you know. You feel it. This isn't the life you were meant to live. You were built for more. You were born to own, to build, to command. But none of that comes easy. It demands that you make war with everything weak inside of you. It demands that you break the mental chains and see the system for what it really is. A beautifully wrapped coffin. So here's the path, laid out in blood and truth. First, you break the illusion. You reclaim your mind and see the cage. Second, you forge high-value skills until you're dangerous, so valuable you can't be ignored. Third, you stop selling your time and start building ownership. Systems that feed you when you're not working. Fourth, you kill the need to consume and impress, because every dollar spent recklessly is another nail in your coffin. And fifth, you embrace ruthless discipline, because freedom is not for the casual. It's earned in sacrifice and carved in self-mastery. This is how you escape. Not with luck, not with shortcuts, not by begging the system to change, but by becoming someone the system cannot control. You weren't born to survive inside their structure. You were born to destroy it and build your own. You were born to own your life. So from this moment on, the excuses die. The victim mindset dies. The soft version of you dies. And in its place, a builder rises. A warrior rises. A leader rises. The system doesn't own you anymore. Because now, you own yourself. And that's the beginning of everything.